quality is not an act, it is a habit. Love is composed of a single soul inhabiting two bodies. It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. Anybody can become angry, that is easy. But to be angry with the right person, and to the right degree, and at the right time, and for the right purpose, and in the right way, that is not within everybody's power and is not easy. Happiness depends upon ourselves. Whosoever is delighted in solitude is either a wild beast or a god. In all things of nature there is something of the marvelous. The aim of art is to represent not the outward appearance of things, but their inward significance. The worst form of inequality is to try to make unequal things equal. There is no great genius without some touch of madness. Well begun is half done. At his best, man is the noblest of all animals. Separated from law and justice, he is the worst. The roots of education are bitter, but the fruit is sweet. Pleasure in the job puts perfection in the work. He who is unable to live in society, or who has no need because he is sufficient for himself, must be either a beast or a god. Hope is a waking dream. I count him braver who overcomes his desires than him who conquers his enemies. For the hardest victory is over self. A friend to all is a friend to none. We make war that we may live in peace. The energy of the mind is the essence of life. You will never do anything in this world without courage. It is the greatest quality of the mind next to honor. Good habits formed at youth make all the difference. Personal beauty is a greater recommendation than any letter of reference. The law is reason, free from passion. The ultimate value of life depends upon awareness and the power of contemplation rather than upon mere survival. What it lies in our power to do, it lies in our power not to do. The aim of the wise is not to secure pleasure, but to avoid pain. Those that know, do. Those that understand, teach. Courage is the first of human qualities because it is the quality which guarantees the others. Youth is easily deceived because it is quick to hope. The educated differ from the uneducated as much as the living from the dead. Republics decline into democracies, and democracies degenerate into despotisms. Democracy is when the indigent, and not the men of property, are the rulers. The end of labor is to gain leisure. The ideal man bears the accidents of life with dignity and grace, making the best of circumstances. Those who educate children well are more to be honored than they who produce them. For these only gave them life, those the art of living well. It is best to rise from life as from a banquet, neither thirsty nor drunken. The soul never thinks without a picture. The state comes into existence for the sake of life and continues to exist for the sake of good life. To run away from trouble is a form of cowardice, and, while it is true that the suicide braves death, he does it not for some noble object, but to escape some ill. Moral excellence comes about as a result of habit. We become just by doing just acts, temperate by doing temperate acts, brave by doing brave acts. Character may almost be called the most effective means of persuasion. Education is an ornament in prosperity and a refuge in adversity. Even when laws have been written down, they ought not always to remain unaltered. All human actions have one or more of these 7 causes: chance, nature, compulsions, habit, reason, passion, desire. Dignity does not consist in possessing honors, but in deserving them. Suffering becomes beautiful when anyone bears great calamities with cheerfulness, not through insensibility, but through greatness of mind. It is just that we should be grateful, not only to those with whose views we may agree, but also to those who have expressed more superficial views. For these also contributed something, by developing before us the powers of thought. Education is the best provision for old age. Wishing to be friends is quick work, but friendship is a slow ripening fruit. The greatest virtues are those which are most useful to other persons. Jealousy is both reasonable and belongs to reasonable men, while envy is base and belongs to the base. For the one makes himself get good things by jealousy, while the other does not allow his neighbor to have them through envy. The one exclusive sign of thorough knowledge is the power of teaching. Mothers are fonder than fathers of their children because they are more certain they are their own. Fear is pain arising from the anticipation of evil. The duty of rhetoric is to deal with such matters as we deliberate upon without arts or systems to guide us, in the hearing of persons who cannot take in at a glance a complicated argument or follow a long chain of reasoning. I have gained this from philosophy, that I do without being commanded what others do only from fear of the law. Change in all things is sweet. The most perfect political community is one in which the middle class is in control and outnumbers both of the other classes. Wit is educated insolence. Without friends no one would choose to live, though he had all other goods. Some animals are cunning and evil disposed, as the fox; others, as the dog, are fierce, friendly, and fawning. Some are gentle and easily tamed, as the elephant. Some are susceptible of shame and watchful, as the goose. Some are jealous and fond of ornament, as the peacock. A tyrant must put on the appearance of uncommon devotion to religion. Subjects are less apprehensive of illegal treatment from a ruler whom they consider God-fearing and pious. On the other hand, they do less easily move against him, believing that he has the gods on his side. A great city is not to be confounded with a populous one. All paid jobs absorb and degrade the mind. Probable impossibilities are to be preferred to improbable possibilities. The wise man does not expose himself needlessly to danger, since there are few things for which he cares sufficiently. But he is willing, in great crises, to give even his life, knowing that under certain conditions it is not worthwhile to live. He who hath many friends hath none. Poetry is finer and more philosophical than history, for poetry expresses the universal, and history only the particular. The whole is more than the sum of its parts. All virtue is summed up in dealing justly. In a democracy, the poor will have more power than the rich, because there are more of them, and the will of the majority is supreme.